So I'm very happy to welcome you to our executive roundtable. This time the topic will be on artificial intelligence and learning and development. And this time it's my honor to present this topic to you as a keynote speaker. Normally we also have other keynote speakers from companies, from other vendors in this space, so that you get really a broad idea of those topics. Okay. So what is this meeting today? So this group here is really a learning and development executive roundtable, and it's a regular networking event we do every few months to completely different topics. And who is it for? So who are the participants normally? It's high-level learning and development professionals that work in companies and organizations. It can be independent trainers and coaches, or coaches in companies, or also learning and development service providers, as well as C-level executives of companies that are looking for ideas and ways to improve their learning and development setup. And why do we organize this kind of events? Because we ourselves were looking for events where we can network and share best practices and ideas, and we couldn't really find many of them. So we thought, why don't we just take the lead on this one? And the idea is really always to have like one key topic and then a networking event around this, where all the professionals in this field can interact with each other. So I will actually only present in the very first beginning, and that will be the keynote speech on a very specific topic. And then we will actually go into an introduction round where everybody in this call can share who they are, and we will be also sharing our experiences, our ideas with the topic of, in this case, artificial intelligence in learning and development, so that you can also learn from each other. You can bond afterwards, you can reach out to each other and say, hey, you explained how you did this in your company. We're on a similar venue, and can you maybe help us? Can we share some ideas on how you did this? Yeah, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes on who we are. We are called Blue Elephant Solutions. We're actually based in Singapore, and we have 3 areas of work that we support our clients with. One is consulting in the space of digitalization, AI enablement and gamification in all areas of business. The second pillar is software solutions, where we either help companies in project management for their software implementation projects, or we do custom developments for our clients as well. And the last pillar is learning solutions, where we do everything from learning and development consulting to learning tools. We have off-the-shelf learning solutions, but we also build custom learning solutions for our clients. And then we also can support in training content and also develop custom training content for our clients. We do have customers around the world, even that the company is still relatively young. We work with clients in Singapore, of course, where the company was founded. Singapore Institute of Technology is a big university there. Success Frontiers is a coaching company based in Singapore. But we also have clients in Germany, where I'm originally from, and but also in India and Pakistan, and really around the world. The 2 standard products that we have in our portfolio is one called Knowledge Gym, which is, I always call it the Tinder of learning, because it's not like a 1-hour training that you need to run through, but it's very straightforward. You get one learning nugget. You look at it, you try to remember it, you give an answer, you wipe it away, and then you get the next learning nugget. There's not much selection in terms of what kind of learning do you want to do now for the next hour, but it's really nuggets, and it's very quick learnings you can do while you are at the coffee machine. You can run through 3, 4, 5, 6 learning nuggets and just refresh this knowledge. And the other part, the other standard product is called Knowledge Empire, which is not only a gamified learning, but it's really a learning game. So you manage your own small virtual company. And in this company, you need to take the right decisions, which are your company specific learning content. And if you do this, then your company is growing and your virtual business is growing. And yeah, of course, there are also some awards, but I'm going to skip that. I think most important and most relevant for you is today's topic, and maybe just a few brief words to me. Normally in the other countries, we had somebody introducing this section here. It's always a little bit weird to say that about oneself, but I've been in this field since probably 20 years plus now. I've worked in the US, I've worked in Europe and also in Asia for a long time. My background is business economics and computer science. I also hold an MBA in consulting. And besides Blue Elephant Solutions, there's a few other companies I'm engaged with. A lot of them are also in the field of artificial intelligence. And I personally just have a passion for learning and driving really the impact out of learning. I was myself, when I worked for Siemens Healthineers for a long time, in charge for learning and development in Asia. And what I noticed there is that we spend a lot of money on training, and a lot of those money and time that we invest is just dissolving into nothingness because it never really reaches the impact that we actually want to achieve. And that was the reason we started Blue Elephant Solutions and really make learning way more impactful. We use spaced repetition, spaced learning to build successful habits over time, not just a 1 hour training, but over time, over and over again. This practice really leads to results. And I'm absolutely fascinated by artificial intelligence and really understood the power of this maybe a year ago or 9 months ago. And since then, we really start incorporating all this AI functionalities into our products. And I think there's so much potential out there. And I'm also later on really interested to understand how you use artificial intelligence in your environment already, what your ideas are. There's so much amazing things happening in this field at the moment. So I will now maybe for 10-15 minutes give a short introduction, a short keynote speech on the topic of artificial intelligence to set a little bit the ground. And then we will go over into the networking part, where, as I mentioned already, everybody can share their thoughts around this topic and what they're doing and some best practices. When I was designing this slide deck and it's really a short slide deck, but it has also some practical showcases in there. I was not sure who the audience will be and what your experience is. So maybe I start really high level with the question, what is actually artificial intelligence? And the definition for that is artificial intelligence are intelligent machines that can think, learn, reason, and make decisions like humans. Well, but what's the benefit of that? Well, they can do this at a scale and a speed that is far beyond human capabilities. So you can really accelerate and augment processes that would take forever or a lot of money in the current situation. There's two main types of artificial intelligence that we differentiate by. One is called narrow AI, also known as weak AI. And that's designed to perform a specific task. And then the opposite of that is the general AI, the strong AI, that is more or less designed to perform any intellectual task that a human can do. Currently, I would say that all our artificial intelligence systems that are out there, including ChatGPT and BART and all the other ones that Microsoft now released on Bing, they're all still more or less considered narrow AI. And we're really still working on this general AI topic. But of course, you know, there's different definitions of that. And some people say already that ChatGPT is already a general AI, which I don't really agree to. how does AI work? Maybe we
global plan.
Is there a question? And I guess was just not muted. Maybe to give a quick background on how does AI actually work for the people that have maybe not been familiar with that so far. There is rule-based artificial intelligence that's normally programmed with a set of rules that follow that this AI is following to make certain decisions. So this is, for example, when you want to diagnose a medical condition based on a set of symptoms that are there. And then you have a scoring system, for example, and the result will be the diagnosis. And then what we actually really understand under AI, this is more the machine learning part, which is trained on big data. And then it uses algorithms to recognize patterns and make predictions of this. Typically here you have this image recognition tools, for example, you train it on pictures of cats and dogs, and then it can recognize which of the two is on one of the images. A subset of machine learning is deep learning, and this is where it really starts to get interesting. This is artificial neural networks. They really try to copy how our brain is working, and they are extremely strong in recognizing patterns in data. That's often used for example, now ChatGPT is using it, and all the other big language models. Where can it be applied in general? Artificial intelligence, also this one I think is broadly known. You have it strongly embedded in this natural language processing tools. You can use it for computer vision, autonomous vehicles, of course, Tesla is super big here, in robotics, in personalized marketing, and of course, in learning and development. And this is where it really starts at the moment to really change the way the learning systems and learning environment is built. I was researching for you here a little bit on some ideas on how it is used currently in learning and development, and some interesting use cases. So one use case is for personalized learning. The idea here is that the artificial intelligence helps to adapt the content, the speed, and also the difficulty level of the content to the individual learner situation. And this could be in many different ways implemented. So either you look like how was the forgetting curve of some learners, and when do we need to repeat certain contents again. But it can also be that you say, I have the same content fed into my system, and when the manager is learning this content, it should focus on other parts of this overall learning content. And when it's an employee, it focuses on different areas. And you don't need to tell the system anymore what areas it should focus on. The artificial intelligence is filtering that out for you. Another area is in predictive analytics. So you don't just teach everybody everything, but you try to identify when does a person might need specific knowledge before the person needs this knowledge, and then you very targetedly can intervene and provide him this knowledge and this learning just prior to him being in need for applying this. Adaptive learning is another area where artificial intelligence is finding its place at the moment. And here it's more about adaptive recommendations and personalized study plans. So really understand what are the kind of trainings that a person needs, and building this learning journey for the different learners. Super interesting is this intelligent tutoring, and actually very similar to this one of the other points, where you can use natural language to really engage with the learners and answer their specific questions. So you see this already strongly embedded in ChatGPT, where you can just ask certain questions. ChatGPT might not have your company specific knowledge, or it might not have currently your compliance guidelines, for example, which you could embed into this model as well. And then you have a very specific company knowledge pool, and you can ask the AI any question about this, this knowledge pool that is individual for your company. Close to this one, as I mentioned, chatbots that can provide learners with on-demand support and assistance, or actually also a kind of tutoring. Learning analytics to gain insights into learners' behaviors and improve the outcomes. We'll later come to some other examples on this one. One company in Singapore is, for example, also using facial recognition. So you have the learners have the mobile phone in their hand, they do the training, and the camera is actually observing the face of the learner to understand if the learner is understanding the content, you know, is he smiling, is he easy, or is he stressed, is he nervous, and then adopt the content to this insights. And you can, of course, also use it for talent development, identify high potentials, create personalized development plans. So there's a huge space of where artificial intelligence can be applied. And the last point I think that we have here on this slide is content creation. So you can also use artificial intelligence to actually feed the learning content in your learning management systems that you have. And you can do this at scale. You can do this in multi-languages. That's also really a powerful application. And there's many, many more. I'm super interested also later to hear in which areas you apply it at the moment or where you have projects going on to apply it in the future. To give you a few more real examples of what that could look like, we extracted 3 examples of how we apply artificial intelligence at the moment to inspire you of how you can maybe also have similar projects in your organization. One is that we use artificial intelligence to personalize and predict when certain knowledge is relevant. So what we do is we look at the forgetting curve of every individual learner, and we module when certain content will be repeated based on this forgetting curve. And the artificial intelligence is optimizing this so that you have the highest impact, but also at the least training time needed. So that's one of the examples of how you can apply artificial intelligence to say, like, really, at what pace should a learner repeat certain knowledge. Another example is where that we're building at the moment. That's in the space of intelligent tutoring and chatbots. That's a solution where we actually, just opening all those screens, where we enable a company to define, just by normal words, a certain type of interaction, and then your employees will be able to practice this interaction with a kind of chatbot. So this is completely reacting to the learner's input. It's not taking standard answers, but it's taking customized knowledge and this individual AI trainer, so to say, and really simulating an interaction. That can be, for example, the AI is simulating a customer of yours, and your salespeople are practicing their sales pitches. And it's not only that you can practice it, but you also get feedback at the end. Not only at the end, every interaction that you have, like every answer you give, you will get some feedback on how you can improve this, how you can do it differently, how you can do it better, what the customer might expect at this point in time. But you can not only use it for simulating customer situations, you can use it for simulating difficult employee discussions that you might have to train your leadership skills. You can train it on many, many different situations where you have one-to-one interaction in service, in call center interactions and whatsoever. So all of this is possible. It's still under development at the moment, but we will probably have it ready in 2 months, 3 months, and we'll include it actually into our standard products and as well as a standalone. And the last example I want to share with you today is on content creation. This is where also in our standard tools, we have actually implemented this feature that you can upload any kind of PDF document, should be text-based, so it cannot really recognize pictures or graphics at this point in time, but the text. And then you can choose the language in which you want to generate the content. You say how many learning in this example, it's questions and answers you want to generate. You can maybe even give the artificial intelligence some keywords on which you want to generate those questions. And then it will actually give you an output. It takes a short while, depending on the length of the document, but then it structures a really clear result for you in terms of what the question should look like, what the answers could look like. You can modify it, of course, and you can probably save easily up to 80% of your time and on your budget on building this manually and creating this content manually. And this is where I will also give you a quick demo of how this looks like and how this works. So here we are in the back end of our standard tools, and there's one button called AI Learning Question Generator. And as you just saw on the screenshots, you select any type of PDF document. I chose one here, which I downloaded from a bank in Singapore. It's their code of conduct. You can scroll through the document, see what it looks like. You can select the number of questions it should generate. And you can even say what kind of keywords it should pick up on. So let me see, say, for example, I see here protection of personal data, protection of data. We take this as one of the keywords. We could also add other keywords. We can, of course, generate more questions if we want. I just keep 3 at the moment because the generation takes a short while. And what we do now is we analyze the PDF that you have uploaded, we'll convert it into text, we'll break it down into smaller text chunks, we'll analyze where in those text chunks are those keywords, and then generate questions around those keywords. So for example, one keyword is one question to this keyword, and the other 2 will be randomly generated out of this document. Now you see already the result. The title of this question will be UOB's values. The question is, what are UOB values? You see an explanation text, and you get 4 answer options automatically generated by the artificial intelligence. One is the correct one, which should also be like this exactly in the document. And then it generates other still reasonable wrong answers. And I think this is really the intelligence, the coming up with the question out of the document, and the correct answer is not that complicated, but incorrect answers that still could make sense, right? So love, respect, trust, and care, customer service, teamwork, innovation, and integrity, fun, family, friends, and finance. So if I don't like this one, I can now, as a content creator, just override it and create my own answer option here. I can maybe even include a second correct one if I want, and then just move on to the next questions. UOB's commitment to safe and inclusive workplaces. Then here, in this case, for example, what is UOB committed to? And then that's maybe a little bit too less. So I would probably go here, and then this is the 20% work that is still needed, committed to in the space of safe and inclusive workplace. And then you can modify this question. And the last one that it came up with here is compliance with data privacy laws. And this is probably on the section that we told him, the privacy policy or privacy data protection part. So it actually picks up on those and also generates correct and incorrect answers. Now, if you like them, you just click on save. They're in your pool of learning nuggets, and you can just continue on. And this is an extremely fast, extremely powerful way to generate relatively easy and standard learning content out of all your existing documents that you might have. But there's always also a risk to artificial intelligence, and this is already now coming to the closing of this short keynote introduction. Be aware that artificial intelligence can be biased, especially also when you put your own learning content in there. And the AI algorithms are only as good as the data that you put in and that you train it on. And yeah, just be aware that there is a potential bias in your data, and that's why it's important that these systems are trained on diverse and representative data and also regularly audited. A second word of warning: don't try to solve everything with artificial intelligence, not even everything with digital technologies. There's still a very, very good case for face-to-face interactions. Yeah, they should also still keep a valuable part of your learning ecosystem. And the last word of warning, so to say, is on ethical and privacy implications. This artificial intelligence can be extremely powerful, and we don't really understand yet how personal data is stored in those systems and might be retrievable out of those systems. And that's why it's super important that those AI-powered systems are transparent, explainable, and you can also have them accountable. Closing with the future trends where artificial intelligence could move to in the near future in the space of learning and development. We see strong use cases in virtual reality trainings. Artificial intelligence already, you probably saw Midjourney and all the other text-to-image generation. There's a lot of work being put into at the moment, not text-to-image, but text-to-virtual reality. So you can create on a very scalable way virtual reality environments. Natural language processing, very clear trend here to see virtual tutors that can interact with the learners in natural languages. You saw the one that we're building at the moment, and there will probably be a lot of companies working on this at the same time at the moment. Computer vision, we mentioned earlier, the facial expressions to then adopt to the content. And closely to this one, actually, let me go down here, is the emotional artificial intelligence that tries to evaluate the mood and adapt the learning experience to the learner's current emotional state. That doesn't only be facial recognition, but also, the way the user is responding and other ways. Explainable AI is one of the new buzzwords when it comes to the AI space. So that should really help to improve transparency and accountability so that the AI can also explain how did it arrive with a certain information or result or decision, so that it's not just a blank box. We put something in and something comes out, but we don't know why and how this happened. And then generative AI to really personalize content that is tailored to the learner's specific needs. And I assume there's many more great ideas out there. And now we move to the sharing part. Before we do this, I would open up the floor if you have questions to any of the specific examples that I shared with you. And feel free, we can take a few minutes to answer something. And if not, then let's actually keep here for a short pause. Are there any questions to what I have shared with you so far? Okay, that's fine. Then I would say we move to the most interesting part, which is really the networking breakout. So we still have 20 to I think even 30 minutes max. I would now go through the list of participants, and then everybody is invited to maybe briefly introduce themselves, take 1 or 2 minutes. I think we're currently 16 participants. So we have, roughly 2 minutes per participant. Try to keep answers short if somebody asks you a specific question. And please also make sure 15 people, everybody wants to briefly talk, allow everybody some space to share also about their experiences. And how we do this, to give you some guidance, when I call your name, please state your name again, who you are, what's your position, what's the company that you work for, what location are you based in, what do we have here, the current projects you're working on, some experiences you have with artificial intelligence so far, any tips and tricks you want to share with the group, and any specific questions that you might have to the rest of the group to start the networking part. So I'm going to open up here my list of participants, and then I will just go from the top to the bottom. And the first person I see here in my list is Bernd Böttinger. So maybe you just take 1, 2, 3 minutes to introduce yourself and share your questions and thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Christian. I'm also a fellow German, expat in the United States, working there for over 20 years now. My position is actually an innovator specifically for learning experiences in the company I work for. And my job requires that we're training about 100 or so engineers coming in, post-grad folks, joining the company, and training them to do risk assessments, physical asset evaluation, process evaluation, that sort of thing. So we are building right now a virtual reality environment. We have probably stage 1 or so where we have one large scale room that is very, very modifiable, if that's a word. And I'm looking to integrate a later stage the interview part, can you tell me about your process? The action where we need real people for now, maybe with AI. That's at least the idea. Location, I'm based in Rhode Island, a small state. Current projects I just described. Experience with AI, very little. I'm really taken by the chat GPT that is going on right now, and I think it has huge potential. So I don't have any tips and tricks yet. The question I had maybe for you, Christian, was you mentioned that one of the future directions would be virtual reality in integration with AI. And I wonder if anybody already has dabbed into that, combining those two fields together or not. And why is it future? Why is it not already kind of ongoing?
Okay, perfect. I would actually try to leave this to answer for some of the other participants, but I keep the question, and if nobody answers, I'll go back to this later on. Bernd, thank you very much. Super interesting what you're working on. And then the next one on my list is Kelly. Kelly, please feel free to also introduce yourself. We know each other from times in Siemens. Kelly, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sorry, Christian, I had to jump on my next call. So honestly, this has been a great discussion or presentation, I should say, as well. And I look forward to being able to listen to some of the recording that I missed in the beginning. But from my perspective, this is something that we're facing every day in a CRM, I'll say ecosphere, where we are absolutely being challenged for resources, being challenged for budget, for being challenged at every level of the organization. So I appreciate you putting this together in particular to review.
Are you already currently applying any AI in the learning space?
Yes. Yes, we are. I can go into a little bit, but we're also partnering with WalkMe. I think that maybe a competitor, but we use that extensively now across the global organization too.
More of a demand on the testing activities.
Okay, so that would be one of the tips. Look into WalkMe. They have quite a good. What do they do? Maybe you can share this one as well.
Sure, they create workflows. That's why it's WalkMe. So they create work. Sorry, my apologies. They create walkflows or walkthroughs for different parts of your application, especially for new users or users that don't do something for a while. They create the ability to put stops and starts for if you want a mandated field within an application so that somebody doesn't forget to fill it out. So your data integrity points that are maybe a little bit lagging, they give you the ability to set reminders for when a user is in an application to make sure that they fill that data in.
So it's really for IT tool training, so to say.
It's not so much IT tool training. It's really for people working in an application to be reminded and or informed of what they need to do while they're in that application.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions to the group? No, good. Then we continue with Shireen Joy Cruz.
Hello. Hello everyone. My name is Shireen Cruz. I'm actually a freelancer. I am an AI big fan of AI technology. Currently I am working for a company called Replace. I am a SaaS tech scorer. So what I do is, what the company does is they check, they do scoring for all the account executives on, basically how they sell the products. So what we do is we handle all the scoring, and based on that, they actually use data science to see how if they follow the company regulations and stuff like that. And it really helped them coach them on how to sell the technology a lot better. So it's I'm still quite new, but it's a really amazing technology. And I'm based in Toronto. And my experience, I have a lot of experience in hospitality and in digital marketing, fairly new. And yeah, it's just right now, if I have any tips and tricks, I think it would be to take time in learning AI technology, because there is so many softwares out there, and I understand that it can be so overwhelming to learn. But I always tell this to even my clients: if you don't take time to learn now, you will your competition will. So you have to make sure you keep up, try to learn, narrow it down to your niche and what, for example, if you're in hospitality, focus on hospitality AI technology that's being coming out right now. So I think that's one of my top my tricks right now, is to narrow down your niche and what you're looking to learn with all of these AI things coming out. And if you have any questions, let me know. But yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Then Kathy Mendito, do you want to share your insights on this one?
Sure. I can share a little bit about me and my company. We're just getting into AI. We use it for our call center right now, which we call our e-branch, because they do so much more than just take phone calls. Excuse me. But my name is Kathy. I'm the head of HR at Buckeye State Credit Union. We are primarily located in Northeast Ohio. We have branches all over Northeast Ohio, from Cleveland almost down to Columbus. I have been in my field for almost 15 years. So I've kind of seen a lot of the evolution of this coming through, because when I first started, my boss was asking me to print his emails off so that he could read them. So I feel like I'm a little bit older, but I agree with Shireen. If you're not going to learn it, your competition will. So I'm just here gathering information at this point. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, sure. You're more than welcome. And do you have any specific questions to the rest of the group, or?
Not really, just soaking it all in at this point.
Okay. Perfect. Cool. Then next on the list, I have Sarah.
Hello, I am Sarah Shanklin. I am currently a learning architect for Key Bank, which is our corporate office is located in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm in the Northeast Ohio area as well. I have over 20 years of L&D experience, from instructional designer to facilitator to architect. I think I've done almost every position except for like the VP position of L&D. Right now, I am currently working on upskilling enterprise employees in soft skills and technical skills. So I have been using AI as a launching pad to actually help me find information that is relatable to content, such as build me a case study. I give it criteria, I give it instructions. We had it build a kind of like a choose your own adventure. So based on the questions, it would take us a different path. And then I kind of hand that over to our instructional designers, then to put it into some sort of software. Some hangups I have seen is some of the data that is given to us is older data. So a lot of the stuff happens prior to like 2021, I think is the latest. But for instance, when I'm asking for cited case studies, it's giving me the citation, but then when I actually go find it, it's no longer available. So that's been some of the hiccups with it. I have been using Poe.com because they have, I think, 4 different types of AI. One is like a conversational AI. It has Chat GPT. One is more instructional, like more human interaction, which is also helping because I'm also working on a project for conversation designers, the do's and don'ts when writing conversation design. So that's kind of where my realm is right now.
Wow, super interesting. Great, thank you very much for sharing that. Then next one on my list, I have Zeta.
Hello, my name is Zeta Kilbride. I'm an instructional designer at Logarithm, which is a cybersecurity software company. I'm located in North Carolina in the United States. Logarithm is headquartered in Colorado in the United States. Current projects that I'm working on. So I primarily work in training and enablement. So is taking our software products and writing tutorials and courses to lead our customers on how to use our products, how to do their job using our products, that sort of thing. So it's taking very technical information and making it understandable, basically. The experience I've had with my job and using AI is very limited, but I have had some good luck with using Chat GPT to take like very technical information and put it in there and ask it to sort of put it into more natural language to make it more understandable. And I've found that that's been a really helpful tool sometimes, because sometimes you can get kind of lost in it, especially with what you hear from your SMEs. And you want to bring it down to an understandable level. And so that's been helpful. Tips and tricks, I don't have any. I'm hoping to hear some. And I'm really here to just get more ideas of how can we use AI to help us to make our jobs easier, to make us more efficient, to, all the things. So thank you so much for having me. And that's me.
Great, thank you for joining. Then next on the list, I have Nicole.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Nicole. I am also an instructional designer. I work for a software company. I work remotely, but I'm located in Minnesota, so quite snowy out there. I think it's snowing today. Current projects I'm working on include that our company acquired a new software and didn't really receive a lot of documentation around it. And so we're working really hard to work with SMEs and try and scrounge up documentation to figure out how we can teach our customers how to use this new software option. So that's been my primary focus most recently, but I've done, in terms of my experience, have done other things like long form scenario training for customers, creating not WalkMe's, but something similar, an overlay where the learner gets up like pop-up notifications, giving them insights into how to use our tools. I would say my experience with AI, I'm very much still in the discovery phase, learning more, so I don't really have a lot of tips and tricks or questions necessarily, but one area of interest is, like I said, because documentation is sometimes not always centralized for us. I'm interested in seeing how AI might be able to pull in a bunch of different pieces of documentation located in many different places within our organization and try and pull all that information together from different sources in order to help create a more unified central documentation that can be used for training. So yeah, that's what I have to share. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, and a super interesting use case, yeah, to really try to combine all the different sources into one central knowledge bank. Definitely important. Next person on my list, I have Jessica.
Hi, so I'm Jessica Gerber. I work remotely. I'm in New York, and my company, the same company as Zeta, is based in Colorado. So pretty much, you know, I produce software training, and, you know, I'm just starting to get into AI. Like she said, we're using ChatGPT, which has been great. And I've been researching some text-to-speech AI and then using it, exploring, using it for videos, for editing and making videos. But yeah, I'm really curious about, you know, using AI to make learning experiences more personal to each user, and how that even works, right? Because right now, yeah, I'm just kind of you know, just learning about it, and I have a good grasp about, like, you know, reformatting text and videos and all that, but I know very little about personalization.
So I take this also maybe down as a question to the rest of the group, if somebody has some experiences already with using artificial intelligence to really personalize learning content.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Super interesting.
Thank you.
The next person I have on this list is Erica.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Erica Stones. I work remotely from Kansas City in the US. I work as an instructional designer for a cybersecurity software company, the same one you've heard from a few people on my team already. I design training and courses and other kind of learning solutions to help customers use our products. So yeah. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm still just very much in the kind of discovery, exploring phase. Excited to stay ahead of the curve with AI, learn more about how we can use AI to better kind of optimize our time and stuff like that. So I don't know. Thank you so much for
no, you
go ahead.
But I think that's the stage everybody is in at the moment, right? Everybody is just exploring this new technology and trying to understand what are the capabilities out there. And that's why it's so important that we have groups like this where we can come together. I would also recommend you put your LinkedIn profiles into the chat if you want, or, you know, you anyhow can look at who joined this call, connect, share ideas later on how you're working on this. It's a joint adventure that we all go on together.
Definitely.
Next on the list, I have Alexandria.
Hello. As you said, my name is Alexandria Jackson Ponce, but I go by Lexi. I'm an instructional designer at KeyBank, which was mentioned earlier by Sarah. While she is in Ohio, I work remotely, so I'm in Texas. I am currently working on building software simulations and then partnering with Sarah to build out the case study she mentioned earlier. And so through that, I've been using ChatGPT to write introductions or come up with answer choices, things like that. I will say one thing I've learned is that you have to be very specific or you tend to get very generic answers or answers. I mean, we've all seen poor test questions, right? And so I have seen ChatGPT generate a few poor questions, and I learned that I had to be more specific in what I was looking for to get the answers that made more sense for what I'm trying to develop. And I've also been playing around with Jasper, which has been a pretty fun tool. And so again, still very new to this and just here to learn as much as I can. Some questions that I have are just some concerns that have been brought up in our company recently around what are going to be some troubles or issues that using this type of software could cause, potentially, like maybe things generating the same type of content for different people and that causing copyright issues, or plugging in sensitive information and the tool maybe using that somewhere else. And so just things like that I want to see if those things could be issues, and that way I feel more confident using it going forward. But yes, thank you. Happy to be here.
Right. No, thanks for sharing this, and also that your company is already thinking about this potential risks that are connected with this. I think that's an important thing, that in the beginning everybody is excited and starts running, and then we need to reconsider what is actually really possible with this technology. Cool. Then I'm super happy to also have Ryan here in the call. Ryan, do you want to maybe briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Christian. So my name is Ryan Sarah. I am the director of training for a company called 314E. We're healthcare consulting, mainly training in the IT environment, training healthcare software that does everything from sets appointments all the way through your visit to the billing. And I am actually sitting in Denver. Quite a few people have companies here, but I actually sit here next in the mountains. And current projects, even though my team creates e-learning for customers, one of my big passions is actually what happens after the event. So after my new hire event training, how am I supported as I'm trying to apply what I'm learning in that kind of time period? So we actually have started, actually not started work, but we developed a just-in-time micro-learning delivery tool and repository, and that we've got 2 customers on so far. But we really focused on micro-learning videos and how to create those at speed. And we started tapping into AI to do some of the work for us. So for example, closed captions are added by the AI. The metadata is added by the AI. And then an algorithm puts that together and delivers that to our customers for just-in-time training. We're also looking at being able to take out the ums and the ahs, the dreaded ums and ahs in videos, and having AI do that for us and smooth out the scripting. The goal really is, we all probably have less resources than we had 2 years ago, and that's probably going to continue. So how do we create effective training faster? And how can AI assist us in doing that to make sure that we're keeping up with the speed of business? So that's what I'm passionate about. My experience, I might actually be dating myself, but I've been doing training since RoboHelp, now Captivate. I was a beta user for Articulate. Just very passionate about using technology to help doctors and nurses to touch people who touch other people and heal them. Tips and tricks. I'm not sure that I'm and any more of an expert than anyone else. I think I've just got more bumps and bruises, still trying to figure it all out. My tips and tricks is, look what other people did and apply that to your strategy. And I think we're all just learning in this new environment.
Yeah, great, amazing. Actually, maybe I think there's 2 more people on the speaker list, and I would hand over to Justin, because I know that Justin is also related to video training and video content creation. So, Justin, do you want to also take the time to briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, appreciate it, Christian. So my name is Justin Thompson. I do some, my company is Be Good Marketing, and it's a lot involved with video production and video training. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I've worked in the corporate world for a large portion of my career, and I just saw a lot of downfalls in kind of the corporate world in successful training. And then I think for the most part, what we get a lot here with retention and how people are retaining the knowledge that they get to be better at whatever they're doing within the corporation. So it's something that I am very passionate about, and I love working with it. So I am based in Fort Collins, Colorado. So just up the road a little bit from where Ryan's at down there in Denver. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Current projects that I'm working on, I do have a couple of larger corporate projects that are involved in video training, specifically kind of in the construction industry, large GC projects, and how to help keep people trained up with the technology that's coming out in building, and make sure that the account managers, the crews, the people working, the people building are all up to speed with the proper way to do things, the proper way to build, keep everyone safe, happy, healthy, and going home is the most important part. So the thing that's interesting with the from the experience side is most of my corporate life was in more of kind of the construction type of world field, and that is a world that tends to be a little bit behind when it comes to technology. And so that's something that I've been trying to help bring that up to speed a little bit with the advances of what's going on. I've heard it mentioned a few times here, kind of moving in a little bit to tips and tricks, but with AI and how fast it's moving, making sure we're keeping it relevant and at the front of our minds and getting in it now is important, as many of us have kind of mentioned here. But it's moving so quickly that it's so easy to get behind if you're not paying attention to it and not seeing what the advances are and how it can help you, and not look at it as something that's going to take away your job, but how can you use it to enhance what you're doing and make us all better. So that's a big thing that I'm looking at and trying to see how we can utilize this. It's been a lot of fun working in this, but as far as experience too, I am personally passionate about how AI can be used to help us. And so I get involved with a lot of the different programs, test them out. I think that's another thing that to pay attention to from tips and tricks is when you put something in there, pay attention. I think everyone in here has probably ran into this of something that's come back that hasn't been exactly what we were hoping for or seeing, or maybe not even appropriate for what we were looking for. So making sure you're not just putting it in there and thinking it's going to come out the best possible solution, but actually read through, actually figure out how to use your prompts to really get the best results in what you're getting back, and how to use it, but not necessarily just offload everything, but use it as a helpful thing for you. So I don't have a lot of questions for the group. It's been a lot of fun just kind of learning and sitting here. So and hearing the different types of companies that are out there. So Christian, I appreciate you having it on, and I'm excited to see where we go from here.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks.
Yep.
Then last but not least, Delmetri, dear friend of mine, please also introduce yourself and share your thoughts on this.
Hi, I'm Delmetri Williams. and I am the founder and CEO of RX Interactive. We're a healthcare gamification company. Right now, we're in Louisiana. I live in Abita Springs, which is a small town about an hour north of New Orleans. My current project is we're about to launch a healthcare game for users with metabolic disorders like diabetes and heart disease. That game also encompasses a lot of patient education into that. We pull data from Google Fit and Apple Health, and just everything we can do to drive adherence to medication, wellness, and just taking care of your health. I don't really have experience besides ChatGPT. I have a couple of side gigs where I do social media marketing for some local people here. So ChatGPT has really helped me, like just creating posts for me, so I don't have to spend a lot of time on their project. And it's really neat. It's not perfect, but it definitely helps me with my time. I don't have tips and tricks because I've known about AI. I've thought about AI, especially for what I'm doing in healthcare. There's a lot that goes on with AI and medical research. That's why we were able to get, our vaccine so quickly. People don't realize that, what AI has been doing with creating new medicines. But for me, I guess there's been a lot of different ways I've been thinking about how to add it to our product. But I guess just, any kind of ideas on what you could do to help with patient adherence or medication adherence or to drive patient engagement with AI.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. We still have 3 questions somehow in the room. One was on the combination of virtual reality and artificial intelligence. How's that working? What's going on in this space? One question was on, do we have any experience with personalization of learning content using AI to really personalize to specific learners, and risks that is being discussed internally? Anybody have some thoughts on the potential risks and how you might have evaluated this in the company? So anybody who has an idea to contribute to one of those topics, feel free just to speak to it. So it's now a little bit open if we want, if anybody has some ideas.
Sorry, I wanted to ask, I know loading in your information in basically on a AI, like for example, with what you've shown, as you mentioned, it is, it can be biased, right? Will there be, should it produce a answer that's incorrect? How do you suppose companies should handle that if AI made a mistake and it provided a wrong information? So I know that must have been something that was reviewed as you're putting together, the system, but what are some of like the major in terms of security? I'm just thinking of this as a user standpoint. For example, my mom she's in her 60s. And if we introduce this gaming, it's a little bit harder for them to use as well. And in terms of with AI technology, yes, it could also make a mistake. Do you kind of have a guide for companies as to what they should do should these things happen? So just a general question.
And anybody in the round, any ideas on this?
I know when I've been using it, I instantly try to go and fact check it somehow. That's how I found that some of the case studies that are being like cited and whatnot are no longer prevalent to us. That's one way I've combated it. I know from our company, from that standpoint, it's blocked it. We have found some ways around that to still aid us and it helping us. But I do like the fact that it releases the versions. And if you look, it will also tell you it can only pull information to such and such day and year. So knowing that right off, there may be newer information out there. It just hasn't been taught yet to look at more up-to-date information.
Yeah, this is Ryan, and from my understanding is that it actually has a set data set that's encoded in it, and that it's actually not, or at least in the OpenAI, that it's not connected to the internet. So the way that we've been, we're actually doing some problem solving. So what happens during a training class, we're like, okay, what are some of the problems that might actually be causing this issue? And then we have the students use GPI to come up with a list of 10 things that they should look at. Probably 5 of those things was relevant. 3 of them were way off. But the way that we explained it is that this is kind of like a research assistant, and it's going out and crawling information together. Whether that's pertinent in your situation or not is for you to decide. Luckily, they're not smart enough to tell us what's true and false yet. But that's how we approached it, and the doctors and nurses seem receptive to that.
I think at this point in time, and that's why we don't have self-driving cars yet. I mean, they can theoretically do this, but you always have the oversight of a human to have this final judgment on it. And the same is in medicine. There's assistant systems, but they might not be completely, it also depends a little bit on the risk that is involved with the training that you might want to deliver. Besides using it just as an assistant and always have the human oversight, you have this factor of reinforced learning. So you give feedback to the AI. You have embedded mechanisms that you can say, this answer here is way off. That doesn't make sense. So you still, while you are using the AI, you also still train it. And I think even with ChatGPT, I'm not really sure, but with the basic technology from OpenAI, which is GPT-3 or GPT-3.5 now, you can always embed additional information on top of this model. So you use the general capability of natural language processing from, for example, GPT-3, but you can embed your own content into it. So even you don't care, even if it's not publicly available, you can have your specific embedding on top of this, which to my understanding is also possible to do on a more local base, so that it's not part of the general model. So even if it's confidential, it doesn't go out, you keep it company internal. But there's for sure a lot of those kind of challenges, and your questions are exactly right. I think we need to keep this in mind when we use these features. In the beginning, everybody is super excited to build, and then we probably also need to ask ourselves, okay, this is working, but what are the downsides and how do we mitigate the risks here? Any other thoughts on the topic of virtual reality and artificial intelligence and personalization? So I mean, combination of virtual reality and artificial intelligence. I'm also not an expert in this specific field, but I know, for example, that Facebook is already working on text to video. This will be also a powerful tool. And I would need to research, Bernd, which companies are strong in the VR, AR, AI field. But I'm happy to do this and share those information with you afterwards. And in the personalization, I think there's also a lot of companies just trying currently different ways. So I'm working with a company in Indonesia at the moment where we try exactly this. So we have a certain given context of learning information, training or a compliance guideline, for example. And then we try to customize this one for different job roles and persons, leadership levels in the company, and try to use artificial intelligence to understand which of those content is specific relevant for this role. But there's a lot of, I mean, this is still a green field, right? There will be a lot of different approaches we need to try out. and we will figure out which are the ones that are most promising, most successful, and I think they will crystallize themselves out in the future.
Yeah, Christian, our micro learning library uses roles as a filter. I think it's a pretty low kind of task for AI, but based on your role, based on where you work, what information is relevant for you, and cutting out the library, and so that it's in a manageable space.
And is that something that you hard code in there, or is the artificial intelligence really creating this criteria?
So we're using APIs from the software security that's built into the the health record software that gets passed on to our software. And then those APIs, and then the programmers did something. All I know is that it filters, and doctors get doctor information, and nurses get nurses information. So that's extremely effective, and people really like that.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Cool. I'm looking at the time, and we're already like a few minutes over, actually like 10 minutes, 12 minutes over. I don't want to overstress the time. I'm super appreciative for this really exciting exchange and all your insights. I'm very much looking forward to maybe even a second round on the topic of artificial intelligence, maybe in half a year's time or so, to see what did really change from now to then. I really encourage you to exchange your contacts and work as a peer-to-peer exchange. Of course, really also feel free to reach out to us. We're not everything needs to be a project. We can also sometimes just do brainstormings together or share some ideas and information. And also, if you're interested to be a speaker, or if you would like to recommend a certain speaker or a specific topic for one of our next rounds, please also reach out to us. It does not need to be any IT topic. It can be, how to set up a good learning and development organization, or anything that is related to learning and development. Please reach out. Join us again. We will definitely share the information. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us for any specific questions you might have. And we're looking forward to stay connected. Thank you so much for joining.